Hey guys, let's continue learning about ecosystems. The last time that we talked about ecosystems, we learned that ecosystems are composed of two different things. We have biotic components and abiotic components. We know that biotic components are living and abiotic are non-living. I want to focus now on habitats. Now, one of the biggest, maybe one of the trickiest things, maybe for students to understand, is the difference between ecosystems and habitats. So, let's try to understand the difference. Okay, so when people talk or when we talk about habitats, we are going to be focusing on the living aspect of an ecosystem. So habitats are said to be where a or an organism, remember organism is a fancy word for living creature. It can be an animal or it can be a plant. Habitats where an organism makes his or where an organism makes its home. What I would like for you to do is to copy these notes into a notepad. You might as well just start a new journal. You can just use one journal for all of the subjects: science, math, and well, for right now, we're really going to be focusing just on math and science. As far as reading is concerned, what the district wants you to do is to read 30 minutes every day, according to the packets that you receive. They have the specific instructions in the packet. I will be looking at the packet tomorrow, and I will start going over it tomorrow. It's gonna take a while, right, guys, to go over it. So don't expect the video until like Friday, um, and that'll give you time to work on it. It makes its home. Okay, let me see. Where an organism, living creature, makes its home. Um, so let's get a little bit closer. Let's focus a little bit more on what a habitat is. So let's use an example. Let's think about a deer. A deer is an organism, right? And deer habitat, or let's do apostrophe s, deer's habitat. Okay, and the important aspects of a habitat are: where does the organism get its water? It turns out that living creatures really need water. Um, where does the organism get its food? Or is there enough food in this particular place? Brings up another one. Is there space sufficient sufficient space for the deer to live in. For instance, if there are just way too many deer, then guess what they're going to run out of? Right? Yeah, food, most likely, before anything else. And shelter. For us humans, shelter is very simple. It's basically a roof over our heads. For a typical human in Houston, we usually live in apartments, in mobile homes, or in just regular houses. For a human in a different part of the world, they may actually live in huts made out of plants. They may also live in tents made out of fabric. Basically, shelter is just a roof over your head. So for a deer, deers don't necessarily need a roof per se. Deer sometimes just really needs trees so that it can cool itself down when the sun is too hot. Also, that maybe it can use trees to kind of hide from predators. So, different uses of shelter, but still shelter. Okay, and then let's look at the habitat for a rabbit. So, rabbit habitat. And a rabbit's habitat might be very close to a deer's habitat. In fact, they might share water. They might share, most likely will share, space. I'm not an expert in this, but I think they may actually share some types of foods. Both of them are vegetarians. Well, actually, I think the rabbit might be an omnivore. I think it eats. I'm not sure if rabbits eat worms or anything like that, but I do know that rabbits do eat vegetation, and so do deer, and they're found in the same ecosystems. All right, let me see. Shelter, maybe not so much. Okay, a deer kind of moves around a lot. A deer is a larger animal. A deer may need something like trees. So let me write down trees over here. And a rabbit is smaller. So a rabbit for shelter may need nothing more than bushes because they're smaller. So these two habitats, we have two habitats here existing in the same ecosystem. So how to think about this? Well, I'm going to erase this. If you haven't copied this, then pause the video and copy it, and we'll start fresh again. So the question that I'm asking is how to think about ecosystems and habitats. What's the difference? Can you think of the difference already? Okay, so the way that I'll think about an ecosystem is that the ecosystem is larger. And ecosystems don't just focus on living organisms. Ecosystems focus on living and non-living. And it's larger than a habitat. Okay, let me see. habitats. So we have deer, rabbits, maybe snakes, how about mushrooms? Or, well, yeah, mushrooms. That's living. The only thing that I am not going to put in the habitat section is I am not going to put water, or I am not going to put rocks, because those are non-living. So those are habitats are not really thinking about non-living. When you think of habitats, you are thinking about living creatures and what they need to survive. And yes, sometimes these living creatures, well, not sometimes, most of the time, these living creatures use non-living components like water or rocks to hide in. Mushrooms, let me see, anoles. Ooh, I don't know if you can read that. Let me erase that. Okay, anoles are, I know I said anoles a little while ago. I think anoles is for plural and anole is for singular. So anoles for plural and anole for singular. Anoles are gecko looking like creatures. And what else can I fit over here? This last one. I wish I wouldn't have done that last one. I'm almost out of space. Oh, how about this? Small word. Ants. Okay, so all of these living creatures make their habitat in this particular ecosystem. So the ecosystem is large, and the ecosystem, again, focuses on living and non-living. And the habitats are focused on the organism first, then the components that it needs. So we can say that, what do deer need to survive? Remember that there are 4 basic components. What do deers need to survive? I'm sorry, what do deer need to survive? So we're talking about S for shelter. Okay, food, water, and space. Those are the basic ones. There's more. And what do rabbits need? So you can say another 4 right here. And again, the more expert you become at this, the more of these lines that you can add to each habitat. We're not going to worry too much about getting too into detail, because we just want to know what's the difference. Today, we just want to know what's the difference between habitats and ecosystems. I know that when I first learned it, it took me a long time. I found it very difficult, maybe because I did not have too much experience with wildlife. So the first piece of knowledge that I can remember for being able to tell the difference between an ecosystem and a habitat was that an ecosystem is larger, and you have a bunch of habitats inside an ecosystem. Okay, so make sure you copy this. Make sure you copy this, and let's continue. Guys, make sure that you have a piece of paper and pencil to take down notes. We're going to go through some vocabulary. Now, again, you have a video, so you can pause it and you can copy the notes. It would be great if you just start using a fresh new journal. You can use that journal for all of your subjects. Let's start with herbivore. We're going to write the word herbivore in your journal, in your notes. And then the definition. An animal that gets energy by only eating plants. Now remember, if I am going too fast, you have the luxury of pausing the video. Omnivore. An animal that gets energy by eating both plants and animals. Human beings are considered to be omnivores, although some of us do have the choice of being only vegetarians, herbivores, or only carnivores. Symbiotic. This is a very good word. A long-term relationship between two different kinds of organisms where one or both receive benefit. Here in this picture, you have a fish that's looks like maybe coral reef. They help each other. Okay, I'll think of better examples as we go on with the unit. But for right now, let's continue. Decomposer. An organism that consumes dead or non-living biomass without need for internal digestion. Okay, remember, decomposers are like our cleaning crew. They come in and they make the world beautiful. Without decomposers, a lot of the dead organisms that die, like the snake that I'm going to show you later on in this video, would linger there for maybe forever. Next, ecosystem. All of the living and non-living things and all of their interactions in an area. Living. Characterized by having a metabolism and the ability to maintain life processes. And pretty complicated definition for living, right? Non-living. A part of the ecosystem that is not living, such as sunlight, air, includes oxygen and carbon dioxide, water, rocks, and soil. Organism. A single self-contained living thing. Adaptation. An inherited characteristic that provides a specific advantage to individuals that have it and becomes more common or pronounced in a population because of the advantage that it provides. Okay, guys, that one is pretty wordy, and I'll make a special note of that to give you more examples of adaptations. This is a very good vocabulary word. It's not going away, so we're going to have to learn it. You will see it in middle school. Producer, with a picture of a tree. An organism that uses sunlight to make its own food for energy. That's the beautiful thing about producers, I think, is that they don't really need much. All they need is the sun, and they can make their own food. And they produce oxygen, and they're amazing, I guess, if you think about it. They're amazing, and we need them. Humans need them. Consumer. An organism that gets energy by eating other organisms. Carnivore. An animal that gets energy by only eating other animals. Some humans make a choice to only eat meat. I have heard of this diet. But really, humans are omnivores. We have a choice. These lions don't have a choice.
Hey, what are you looking at?
I caught this frog in my backyard. It was in between the pond and the garden.
What will you do with it?
I'm hoping to keep it as a pet. but I'm not sure I know how to take care of him properly.
Cool, you'll need more than just food and water.
I know. Its habitat outside is made up of so many living and non-living things. I'm not sure I can make an artificial habitat with all the things it needs.
Okay, what non-living factors are important in an ecosystem, like where you found the frog?
Well, here's a photo of where I found Hoppy.
Hoppy?
It's just a name I'm trying out. Anyways, take a look and see what you think. What non-living things in this environment might be important to the frog's survival?
Okay, what non-living factors in this environment are important for the frog? Take some time to look around. Notice that that there's plants, rocks, water, vegetation. You can infer that there's air, oxygen, carbon dioxide.
Well, the main thing I notice is the pond itself. Water is important to drink, but also a source of shelter and a place to find food.
Water, is that biotic or abiotic?
Now, where exactly did you find the frog? I mean, Hoppy.
I found him hiding in the shade of the leaves. I think I've seen the same frog under the rocks between the pond and the garden too.
Rocks, abiotic or biotic?
Or I have water, rocks for shelter, and fresh air on the list.
Don't forget sunlight.
You're right. The sun's heat is especially important for cold-blooded animals, which don't make their own body heat. So maybe you'll need a heat lamp.
Wow, we haven't even looked at the living things in the environment yet.
Let's do that now. So, living things that are important for the frog's survival. What living things in the environment are important for the frog's survival? Obviously, Hoppy has to eat. I know that adult frogs don't eat plants. I know there are tons of insects outside that he can eat.
So we would have to catch some every day and put it into his habitat. Or
if we put in a whole bunch at once, along with soil and plants, they would stay alive for a while.
This is getting pretty complicated. You know, even if we were going to create this amazing habitat with all these things, Hoppy needs to survive. There's still a problem. Don't you see? If everything in my backyard ecosystem interacts and each part has an important role to play,
I think I get what you mean. What would happen to the rest of the ecosystem if Hoppy was removed from the equation? How would the ecosystem be affected if the frogs were removed?
taking Hoppy inside might be good for the insects he normally eats. But then there will be so many more insects. And I know Mom just goes nuts when they eat her garden plants.
We definitely don't want that.
I agree. Insects, terrible. So even though whenever we do see frogs outside of our homes and we think yuck, they're there for a reason, and you know, I guess we just have to make that choice, right? Keep the frogs and have less insects outside, or get rid of the frogs and then have to deal with the insects.
Hoppy helps keep the bugs in balance, which is good for the plants and other animals that depend on those plants.
You know, I think it's better to leave Hoppy out in the yard and just visit him out there.
Good idea. I bet if we observe him outside, we can find out more about all those interactions in the ecosystem.
It'll probably be more interesting that way anyhow. Want to come with me to release him?
Definitely. Maybe you can find an ecosystem to explore near your home or school.
Have fun and we'll see you next time.
Okay, guys. Well, I'm not going to go outside to my backyard, but I am going to take you on a little field trip to a park. Just keep watching.
All right, guys, I'm coming to the park on my bike. I want to stop by a couple of different places to look at nature so that I can teach my lesson just a little bit better with actual real life situation. You might hear me tired because I rode over here to the park from my house. So don't mind me breathing hard, guys. I know it's kind of annoying, but I think we can get past that. Hey guys, I just wanted to share a video with you. Hopefully I don't mess this up as I unmount my phone. I came to the park and I wanted to show a video. As you can see, you should be careful when you come to the park. This is a dead snake. I don't know if it's poisonous. Regardless, if someone crushed his head, which is the best way to kill snakes. I'm not telling you that that's what you need to go do. If you see a snake, you should probably just get away from it. But, well, why did I do this? I came here because I want to show you a video about ecosystems and about habitats. Here we have some mushrooms growing on the side of a dead log. Oh, and look, looks like another little snake over there. No, that's a lizard. Or a gecko, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I wanted to come and shoot some video just so that you kind of get a better experience of habitats and ecosystems. Look, here's a perfect situation. You have a snake that wants to cross the road. This is a bike path, by the way. So here is a living organism that's interacting with non-living, which is this asphalt path or bike path. As you can tell, the snake wants to get to the other side. Will it survive? We don't know. Any human can ride by, run it over. Doesn't look like it's poisonous, but I wouldn't take a chance. Even a bite from a non-poisonous snake will hurt and cause an infection. So this is it's safe to say that this area here is a sufficient habitat for snakes. This is the second snake we've seen. This is a habitat for snakes. That means, knowing that information, if you went off into the woods, you probably wouldn't want to wear shorts. You may want to wear something that can protect your legs from a possible bite. Okay, guys. Here is just a small piece of the park. It's kind of hidden from the bike path. I had to do a little off-roading to get here. Well, honestly, I've seen about 3 snakes today. So I'm wearing shorts. Not a good idea to walk into those woods with shorts on. And so unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to walk closer to this area than what I am doing right now. But what I will tell you is that, or the question I want to ask you is, what kind of, as you can see this place, what kind of organisms might find this place a nice habitat or a good habitat? There is a creek down that path right there, and I had every intention of going there. But like I told you, I'm going to expose myself to snakes. And honestly, I already have to be mindful of where I'm at, where I'm standing. But yeah, so the path to the creek is through here. And since I was here at last, looks like that tree fell over. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. Seems like that tree kind of just fell over. And it's spring, guys. There's a lot of critters around. Okay, so I just wanted to take a little bit of time to show you the park. On my way home, guys. Wish me luck. Quite a road. I got the camera on. Sorry, I got the flashlight on. And looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun.